Hello and welcome, fellow motorsports fans. There has been very little racing, I have very little time, but there still has been two different single-seater series I want to cover and some national level karting news I want to talk about, so let's not waste any more time. We begin in the USF Juniors with an ever-escalating title fight, and here it is really Max Taylor who got away as the winner because, truth be told, all title contenders did get hit with some bad luck and some incidents, but Max Taylor was the one who got away with, well, the least points loss after his particular moment. He also had one, I'll show it to you here. He had some contact with Sebastian Wheldon and got sent wide, but unlike all his rivals after their particular incidents, he actually had time to recover and got a P6 in this particular race, so actually scoring some very decent points. Whereas actually on the flip side, Sebastian Wheldon did not get to finish the race in a separate incident, so this actually leaves Max Taylor in a very good position going into the last round, leading by over 40 points. So yeah, well, we are set up for a pretty intense final round. His fellow competitors, Ariel Elkin, Sebastian Wheldon and Liam McNeilly, all are still in contention, definitely, but as I said, all had costly DNFs. Elkin was off in the first race from around P4. McNeilly had contact with Augusto Sotosharipa in the second race, and well, Sebastian Wheldon is still, in my opinion, the big revelation of the season, but he also had some bad luck, so the title is slipping out of his hands more and more. On the flip side, I have to say Augusto Sotosharipa is probably one of the major disappointments of the season. Of course, he is still very high up and still driving a good season all around, but considering his experience advantage, I think he was very much, well, at least considering himself as a title favorite. He said as much. He had a bit of an calling an outburst is too much, but a bit of a disappointed social media post after the race, and he's not happy with how race control is handling things. And I mean, understandably so, the season really has gone from very good to a little disappointment over the course of it. Last but not least, I want to highlight a driver we haven't really talked about yet, I don't think. He's got a very weird name, G3 Ageros he is called at the very least. That's his nickname, I suppose, but an official nickname at that. And he is really slowly turning into one of the surprises of the year as well. And I only recently found out, I should have noticed earlier, but he is only 14, so there is still definitely a lot of potential here. And on this weekend he did score a new personal best of bringing home a second place, so congratulations there. We continue with British F4, and first of all I have to give a major shout out to one of our lovely viewers, and you know who you are, for actually supplying me with the races normally not available outside of the UK, so I actually got to watch these so we can talk about them, and I think that is brilliant. The big one in British F4 still very much is Fairclough. I believe he now broke the record for most wins in a British F4 season, so congratulations there. And I think he is a very interesting case in the sense that, given his experience and everything going into the season, he was a clear favourite, and crucially I think he was set up to win, and everything below winning the title would have been a bit of a disappointment, obviously barring any very weird circumstances, right? But he is going above and beyond expectations, even with the very high expectations put on him before the season. He is really dominating every non-reverse grid race at this point, and it looks very easy for him most of the time. So I am very much looking forward to see what he can do in quicker machinery. But obviously this all does come with the caveat of I don't think the grid is particularly strong, and obviously he does have a lot of experience. Nonetheless, what a guy to watch this year. Another man to watch, and I am very rapidly becoming a bit of a fanboy here, is Martin Molnar, the Hungarian sensation, and the guy is just improving rapidly. Obviously his season started pretty slow in the races that I didn't get to see. I don't know, maybe he was just very unlucky, but ever since I've started watching British F4 this season, he has improved, and he is now even a, regular podium contender. He actually brought home 2 podiums this week, a new PB of a second place, well, even if aided by a penalty for Rowan Campbell-Pilling, but nonetheless, definitely one to watch, and clearly the best rookie for my money at this point in time. Last but not least, we have the female story in British F4, and it is still, well, two women that really impress more than everybody else, and that's Abby Pulling and Ella Lloyd. Ella Lloyd, obviously one of, again, the revelations of the season, doing very well, especially in the reverse skirt races. She scored another podium there, so very, very good stuff. Well, she didn't quite find the win, but nonetheless a controlled second place and fun to watch. But obviously, yes, Abby Pulling is still the quicker of the two all around and the best female driver on the grid. But I think now is sort of the time where we have to wonder what can she actually do when she gets out of F4, because hopefully, presumably now with Alpine backing and F1 Academy and everything going on, the increased attention on female racing, I hope she will find a way to fund a FRECA seat or an F3 seat or something. But the problem there is, I think, given her experience, doing these great midfield runs again and again and again is still very good, don't get me wrong, but it is sort of the performance we praise Dory Parr for, right? Like for her, in her first year in single-seaters, these will be fantastic results. But for Abby, it feels like it's decent, but nothing more. So I think if she ever gets into quicker machinery, I feel like she'll be like Sophia Flörsch at best, right? So that's a little sad, but nonetheless, obviously, I think she can have a great racing career somewhere. That was already it for the Formula stuff, but stay tuned because I want to introduce you to some karting stars to watch. I had initially planned to do a proper review of both the DKM, the German Karting Championship, and the British Karting Championship because both had crucial rounds this weekend, but it turns out I won't have time to edit such a lengthy video, so instead I thought I'll just introduce you to 3 key drivers in both the championships from various ages, but names I think will pop up more in the future. And on the British side, we have all 3, I believe, are championship winners now, or almost championship winners, and that's Albert Friend in the minis, Harry Bartle in the juniors, and Macauley Bishop in the seniors. The latter, I think, the most impressive because he is on to winning the senior championship in his rookie year, so that is a really, really big achievement there. Unfortunately, neither of the 3 have done too much international racing, at least not on the top level, which I guess is normal for national competitors, right? Most of them don't run too many of the big FIA and WSK like European stuff. They do Rotex Euro, for example, and all of them are doing very well over there as well. So clearly solid competitors all around, and again, all of them now secured or basically secured their title with rounds to spare. So all of them pretty dominant at what they do. Over in the DKM, the German Championship, the story is a little different and the drivers are a little different, and I want to highlight. We have a very talented 10-year-old kid in Milan Rossi, currently absolutely dominating the German Mini Karting Championship. He has actually won every single final, which again, if you've watched these karting events, you know how difficult this is. And unlike the German Junior Karting Championship, this is not a small grid either. This is like 20-something drivers. And sure, again, National Championship, not the most competitive level by any stretch of the imagination, but it is the way he wins these races that really stands out to me. Mini karting is very, very like draft heavy, and much like Friend does over in the British Karting Championship to some extent, he doesn't just win the races, he actually often gets to gap away, which is pretty difficult. So hugely, hugely impressive if you ask me, and I hope he has funding to continue his journey a lot longer than this. Outside of that though, I do want to highlight some female talent, once again one of the big focus points of the channel, and here we have one that's hopefully going to be relevant in F4 next year, and that's Emma Felbermayr. She is, I believe, like 17 years old-ish currently, and she has recently done some F4 testing, and obviously the Felbermayrs, you may have heard, racing families, so you'd think they have the budget to put her in an F4 car if she so desires. And at least from the testing, it looks like she might. I really hope it does. She's doing very well in the second tier of the German Shifter Kart Championship. There is 2 of them. She's driving the less competitive one, but that's very appropriate for her age still. And she is a regular top 5 runner, podium contender, so very good stuff. And again, I really hope we can see her in an F4 car in the future. And then there is the even better female competitor, and unfortunately one we're definitely not going to see in an F4 car next year, and that's Claudia Henning. And really I only bring her up because First of all, she won her category, again the same second tier of the shifter classes, but she's also one that has tried her hands at car racing. She's like 20-ish years old. She ran the BMW M2 Cup last year and actually did really well in that, but the series got discontinued, so no more seat for her there, and she doesn't have the budget clearly to do anything outside of karting. So I thought, well, one of the sad racing stories, and I really think she deserves a little more recognition. Anyway, let me know down in the comments if you have any more karting drivers that you want to highlight. Obviously, my list could have been more like 15 drivers per category, per championship, but nonetheless, I thought these were my most important, at least this weekend. I don't know if there'll be a video next week. First of all, there isn't much racing, and also I'm on holiday, actually not watching racing, but watching some good Counter-Strike if any of you are into that. So, you know, a bit of a different thing. There will be some sort of video coming. I plan to cover the current academy lineups for all F1 teams in the not too distant future, so stay tuned for that. And otherwise, well, I hope you enjoyed watching, and I hope to catch you in the next one.